Welcome to the video, guys. My name is Drew Long, and in this video, I'm going to train you how to create a complete AI agency sales system. Yes, if you're an AI automations agency and you're struggling with closing deals, or maybe you're not closing at a high enough rate, or you'd like to be getting more revenue per deal from each potential client, you're in the right place. Bookmark this video, save this video, because I'm bringing you a lot more videos on how you as an AI automation agency owner can prosper from a sales perspective, using my background of building sales teams from 5 people to over 150 people, and from $6 million per year to $6 million per month in sales. So let's dive right into it. This is the exact framework I use with my consulting clients who are typically doing anywhere between $10K a month and $250,000 per month. And it's what I teach in my coaching calls with the Client Ascension members. This video is specifically for you if you're running an AI agency anywhere between $2K and $30K per month, and you're trying to scale to that next level. Maybe you've got decent leads coming in, but your close rate isn't where it should be, and anything below 30% needs improvement based on my experience. Maybe you're getting some objections around price, you're not sure how to handle them, and maybe you're just not confident in the sales process and you need a reliable framework that's going to close day in and day out. That is what I'm about to share with you. This is condensed knowledge from dozens of coaching calls with real agency owners who've implemented these strategies and seen dramatic improvements in their close rates and their average client value. Recent highlights: students' results with these methods closed $96,000 in new customers in 1 week after my coaching. Doubled meeting booking rates from cold email using my methods. Doubled close rates from 10% to 20% in under 30 days. Closed 2 new deals in 2 days. Signed up 4 new clients in 1 week. Collected $40,000 in cash and increased one agency owner's close rate to 38% over the course of 1 month. So this stuff works. Let's dive in with part 1, the foundation, psychology of AI agency sales. Here's a couple keys I want you guys to focus on. Sell transformations, not services. Adopt the doctor frame and understand the real motivations. You're selling outcomes and trust in your ability to deliver. Remember that. You're not just selling time, services, or a product. Diagnose before prescribing. Build trust by positioning yourself as the authority and always maintain the authority frame. And then dig beyond ROI to emotional drivers of why they need your AI agency. What do they truly care about? Let's take these one at a time. First, we need to understand why AI agencies sales is fundamentally different from other forms of selling. When you're selling agency services, you're not selling a product, you're selling an outcome, a transformation, and ultimately your trust in your ability to deliver that transformation. The number one mistake that I see agency owners make is going into consultant mode too early in the sales conversation. Here's what typically happens. Prospect shows interest, they hop on a call, they start describing their problems, and immediately the agency owner starts providing free advice, digging into solutions, providing solutions, and trying to establish their credibility by telling the prospect exactly how to solve their problem. Wrong. Do not do that. You're giving your expertise away for free. It's okay. It's a natural instinct. You're an expert in the field and you want to demonstrate your competence, but here's the thing. When you start solving their problem on the sales call, there's no reason for them to buy. You're devaluing your service. When you solve their issue, you're collapsing the tension. Let me give you a real example from a coaching call I recently had with an agency owner who sells website optimization services. The prospect mentioned they were struggling with conversion rates, and immediately he jumped in with, "Oh, I can tell your call to action buttons aren't prominent enough and your form is too long. Here's exactly how I'd fix it." And the problem with this is by solving their issue right there on the call, he collapsed the tension. The prospect is going to think, great, free advice, free consulting. I'm going to take care of that myself. It's going to be free. And they never signed up. Instead, what you need to adopt is what I call the doctor frame. Think about when you go to the doctor's office. The doctor is going to first ask you questions about where it hurts and how much it hurts before he or she prescribes any course of action. So they ask questions, they examine you, they might order or run some tests. That's diagnosing before prescribing. Yes, prospect needs to see you as the expert who diagnoses before prescribing. This builds trust and positions you as the authority. But there's something even more fundamental here, which is understanding the prospect's real motivation. It's rarely just about ROI and metrics. In one of my coaching calls last month, we were talking about a sales conversation from a marketing agency. The prospect kept talking about lead generation, but when we dug deeper, what he really wanted was to stop working 70-hour work weeks and have more time with his family. The marketing services were just a means to that end. When you understand the emotional drivers, the real pain that the business is going through, you can position your service as the solution that they truly care about, and you can put your solution in the context of that ultimate higher goal. I don't want you guys to miss this. The key here is to maintain the tension throughout the call. It is very natural for you to want to collapse the tension, but don't do it. If you collapse the tension, they're not going to buy. When you prematurely solve their problem or their issue, or you give them free consulting, not only are you devaluing your time and your service and expertise, but you're preventing them from actually giving you money to really solve the problem. So don't release the tension, don't kill the sale. Okay, this takes us to part 2. You need to become a master of what's called discovery. Discovery is the part of the call where you're investigating, you're diagnosing before prescribing. So let's talk about that. This is where most AI agency sales are won or lost. Most agency owners that I've worked with rush through discovery to try to get to their pitch, but this is a critical mistake. The art of effective discovery is all about pain development, identifying the pain points, identifying why they matter, identifying what else they've tried to do to solve the pain points, identify why they're stuck, identify why they can't solve that pain themselves, identify the cost of the pain. All these things are crucial. You have to identify and then amplify. And I am going to teach you a technique, what I call twisting the knife, to create urgency. Think of it this way. Ask yourself, when they're describing their pain or their business problem, ask yourself, does this sound like a paper cut or a stab wound? And if all you're hearing is paper cuts, that's not going to be enough motivation for them to buy your services. You need to get it to a level of a stab wound where they're bleeding out. And if they don't get someone in there fast to solve the problem, they might die. So here's how it works. When a prospect mentions a challenge they're facing, don't just acknowledge it and move on. Dig deeper with questions like, how long has this been a problem? What have you tried to fix it so far? What happens if this doesn't get resolved? What would it mean for your business if we could solve this? What would it mean for your business if you don't solve this? These questions force the prospect to verbalize the consequences of the problem, which creates emotional resonance with the problem. That's what you want. You don't want them just thinking up in the top of their head logically. You want them thinking down here in their heart about the problem and what it means for them personally. Let me share an example. One of my clients was speaking with a prospect who mentioned they were struggling with lead quality. Now, most agency owners would respond, oh, we can definitely help with that. Let me tell you about our lead qualification process. Instead, my client asked, how long have you been dealing with unqualified leads? And the prospect said about 6 months. And my coachee asked, oh, what impact has that had on the sales team? And the prospect said, oh, well, they're frustrated, and revealed that 2 of them had quit in the past month because they couldn't hit their targets with the leads we're giving them. And so the client asked, what happens if that continues? I mean, are other people on the team, are you concerned that they might quit as well? And the prospect said, yeah, we'll probably have to downsize the sales team, which means we couldn't grow as planned. So by asking these questions, the prospect went from we have a problem with lead quality to our entire growth strategy is at risk. Now that's the emotional journey you need the prospect to go on during the discovery call. You need them to understand the first, second, and third order implications of the problems they're experiencing today and the implications of what happens if they fix the problem. What is going to be both good and bad about the future states. Remember, stab wound, not a paper cut. If all you're getting in discovery is paper cuts, don't be afraid to pull back and say, oh, well, it sounds like everything's great. Should we be on this call? Or it sounds like you guys are maybe growing just fine. There's no problems in the business right now. And usually when you come back with that, they're going to be a little bit more open. They're going to admit to you, oh yeah, well, actually what I'd really like to change is X. Or yeah, things are going okay, but I'd really like things to be going better than they are right now. So discovery isn't just about pain development. It's also about qualification and disqualification. Your discovery has 2 main functions: get their pain, get the emotional resonance, and obviously get the stab wound or stab wounds. And then number 2, make sure they're a good fit for what you offer. It is unethical to sell if they're not a good fit for the service, the solution that you have to offer. So you need to identify this using the following types of questions. Current situation, what are they doing now? What's working? What's not working? Pain points, problems they're experiencing. How are these affecting the business? Goals, what are they trying to achieve and by when? Key point, the first question in your discovery should probably be, what are your goals for the business in the next 6 to 12 months? Start high level. It's a funnel, just like a marketing funnel. You want to start high level and then pull it back in. Budget, what's their investment level? Have they allocated funds for this? How much funds would they be willing to allocate for this? One technique I teach that's extremely effective is called the knife twisting summary. So let's say you've got all that information. Now you want to summarize the discovery. This is going to amplify their pain and create urgency. So it might sound like, John, based on what you've shared with me, you've been struggling with lead quality for 6 months. It's caused 2 salespeople to quit. If it continues, you're worried you have to downside the sales team and abandon your growth plans for the year. Meanwhile, you're spending $10K a month on marketing, $10,000 a month, emphasize the thousands, $10,000 a month on marketing that isn't delivering results. Is that accurate? Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate. Okay, so what did John just did? He just admitted that he's in blatant pain and he's in a bad situation. And hearing all the problems summed up like that in one short sentence is going to be really powerful in convincing them and making them realize that the pain is all there. It's all on the surface. And that is what is going to give them motivation to change. So this shows you listened. This frames the situation as urgent, and it sets up your pitch as a solution to a significant, not trivial, a significant problem. A mistake I commonly see in discovery is focusing too much on the surface level problem and not enough of the problem behind the problem or the deeper level problems. So another call we had recently, it was an SEO agency, and the prospect said they needed better rankings. But when my client dug deeper, the real issue was that the business owner was preparing to sell the company in 18 months and needed to show consistent revenue growth to maximize valuation. So that would be an example of the problem behind the problem, and it completely is going to change how you position your solution. So let's recap discovery mastery. Identify pain points, number one, the challenges they're facing. Amplify the pain, dig deeper with questions about impact and duration. 3, create urgency by asking implication questions or asking what happens if the problem isn't dealt with. And then 4, summarize the impact. Use a knife-twisting summary to frame their situation as urgent and get the pain all surfaced. So very good. Now let's say you've done that. Now you're ready to pitch. So let's go into what I teach, the 3 pillars pitch framework. This is not my original framework. Credit where credit is due. I'm sure someone else very smart came up with this, not sure who, but probably derives from the fact that humans are really only good at thinking in 3s. So once you've completed this discovery and summarized the pain points, you're going to want to launch into your pitch, which is the 3 pillars. The key principle here is that your solution needs to be clear and high level, not detailed. When you go into the details as an agency owner, you're going to get people asking about your tech stack, or you're going to get people asking about the exact steps of execution. That is in the weeds, and that is going to give them reasons to select against you because they didn't like exactly how you phrased your answer. Don't do that. All right, keep it high level, keep it general, keep it focused on the results that they want, the 3 high level results that they want. So here's how you might structure this. Let's say you're selling SEO services. 3 pillars might be technical SEO audit and optimization, content strategy and creation, and link building and authority development. That's as high level as it needs to be. The beauty of this is it's simple for the prospect to understand, but it presents you as having a comprehensive solution. Here's how it might sound. Based on what you've shared, here's how to approach solving this. First, we'll conduct a comprehensive technical SEO audit to help identify and fix issues that are preventing your site from ranking. Second, we'll develop a content strategy focused on your keywords your ideal customers are searching for and create content for you. And third, we'll build high-quality backlinks to establish your site's authority in your industry. Does all that sound helpful based on what you shared with me? It's very important to add that little tie-down question at the end of the 3 pillars to make sure they're on board with exactly what you're going to do. Because if they, let's say they don't like pillar number 2 out of 3, they're not going to necessarily volunteer that to you. You have to ask them to get it out of them. And then the reason that they're not going to close is because, oh, we don't like that you're doing pillar number 2. We'd rather do something else instead. You want to have that open, honest conversation. These are clear and straightforward. They don't get into the weeds. You're giving them enough to understand the approach without giving away your expertise for free. This is especially true in AI automation. I've noticed a lot of prospects will ask you like, oh, well, what do you use, right? What's your tech stack? What's the technology, the software you're using? Because a lot of them are just searching for the names of these websites, the names of these tools, Make or whatever, and they just want to go then do it themselves. So I would recommend you not get into your tech stack and just be like, we use a variety of tools. Some are proprietary, some are off the shelf, but all in an effort to give you the best quality and quantity of results possible. Does that make sense? Give them a vague general answer where you kind of hand wave it away. And you're like, yeah, the tools we're using are always changing because this area is evolving so fast. But rest assured, we're spending 10 hours per week revising and evaluating new tools to make sure that our clients are always on the cutting edge and getting the best possible capabilities. Something like that. And they might ask you for specific techniques, right? So the specific techniques we use for link building are proprietary, but what matters is it will help you achieve authority. You need to outrank your competitors to capture the traffic you're currently missing out on. So that would be an even better formulation because that's both emphasizing competition, like crushing their competition, and it's emphasizing the traffic they're currently missing out on. And people are extremely averse to loss. People are very loss averse, and it's going to be more persuasive to talk about the things they're missing out on than necessarily the cutting edge things that they're getting that nobody else is getting. Here's some other examples that you can use, some other specific talk tracks. So that's a great question. Specific tools we use will depend on a detailed analysis of your situation, which is part of your onboarding process. What I can tell you is that our approach has helped similar businesses to yours increase organic traffic by 150% within 6 months. Is that the kind of outcome you're looking for? Something like that. Okay, another of my clients, for example, was selling social media management, and the prospect kept asking about specific posting frequencies for different platforms, which of course everyone wants to know. How many times a day do I post on Instagram, TikTok, etc.? And he just said, we'll determine optimal posting frequency during our strategy phase. What I can tell you is we've managed to double engagement for clients in your industry using our approach. Would achieving similar results solve the problem we discussed earlier? So always redirect them back to their ultimate goal and the results tied to a specific result you've already achieved or a case study so that they know you have experience doing that. You want to keep the conversation focused on the outcome they want, not the methodologies, because methodologies change, as you know. All right, very, very important here. You must provide a clear future before they will buy anything. You have to address proactively what's going to happen if they sign up, what's going to happen after this call. So if we decide to work together, here's what's going to happen next. First, we're going to schedule a kickoff call where we'll dive deep into your business, gather all the information we need. Then we'll develop your custom strategy within 2 weeks. Implementation begins in week 3, and you can expect to start seeing initial results by the end of month 2 with significant improvements by month 4, something like that. And you might add details such as like, we'll be available daily by Slack channel. We'll have a weekly check-in call to review results. We'll have a 1-hour Zoom call every month or every quarter to give you updates on our progress, whatever it might be. You want to outline the communication cadence, check-ins, milestones, deliverables, how you do project management, anything that's relevant to them. You want to put that in a package and present it to them before they sign up so that they feel comfortable with the cadences of communication and updates. It can be really helpful to put this all in a Gamma doc or in your slideshow that you're using to sell with so that they know exactly what's going to happen. The whole point of this is to reduce uncertainty and make it easier for them to choose you. Salespeople often lose momentum in a sales call without a clear future. It's just sort of like, do you want my thing? Here's the price. And then it becomes awkward and they're just kind of hanging out there like, I guess I have to make a decision now. This feels awkward, so I'm going to try to get off the call, rather than understanding, hey, from the moment you sign and pay, here's exactly what's going to happen next. That helps people's anxiety a lot. Whatever else you do, give them certainty, give them clear future. Okay, let's recap the 3 pillars. Clear outcome, focus on the results that they're going to achieve. 3 main components, structure your solution around 3 main positive outcomes for them, and then keep them high level without technical details. All right, let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, handling objections and stalls and smoke screens. No matter how effective your discovery and your pitch are, you're going to face some objections. It's just the way of sales. The most common objections in agency sales are going to be around price, timing, and uncertainty around results. So let's dive into those now. When a prospect says that's more than we expected to invest, or, oh, can you do anything on price? The worst thing you can do is immediately agree, offer them a discount. Obviously, that's not something you're going to do. So contextualize price against their goal. Hey, I understand this represents a significant investment at this point in your business, but let's put it in context. You mentioned earlier that acquiring a new customer is worth $5,000 to your business. If our work helps you acquire 3 additional customers per month, that'll be a 300% ROI on your investment. Do you think that makes sense to do? Or do you have any questions about, do you have any doubts that maybe we can achieve 3 new clients a month? This is going to reframe the conversation from the cost to the value. The cost is what they pay, the value is what they get. And another approach here is what I would call value stacking, where you enumerate all the components of your service and demonstrate what they're getting over and above what their dollars would buy elsewhere. So you could say something like, yeah, the monthly retainer is just there because it includes strategy development, all the content creation, all the ad management, the weekly reporting, the monthly strategy calls, and unlimited email, chat, and Slack support. When you break it down, you're getting 40 hours of expert week per month for less than it would cost to hire a part-time employee with far less expertise than our team brings to you. Does that make sense to spend your dollars in that way? So again, adding a tie down at the end. Sometimes the price objections are actually about cash flow rather than perceived value. So you need to understand and differentiate between those two. In those cases, you might offer payment terms without reducing the price. So you can just simply ask them, is it just an issue of you guys don't really have the cash flow available for the $5,000 upfront cost right now? Okay, I understand that. I understand that's a consideration. Would it be helpful if we structured the payment as $2,500 up front and then the remainder 30 days later? Is that something you guys could do? And when you start offering payment terms like that, you're going to close a lot more deals. Now, regarding negotiation, because this is then immediately going into a negotiation. As soon as you offer payment terms, that is a negotiation. And this is where I see a lot of agency owners, especially beginners, leave a lot of money on the table. The key principle in negotiation is never give unless you get. I'll say that again. Never give unless you get something in return. Never get something in return unless you're also giving something. There's reciprocity here. So if the prospect asks you for a discount, don't just say yes or no. Instead, use what I call the storytelling approach to negotiations, which is you tell a story that defends your price and explains under what conditions you might be able to give a discount if they were able to give you something in return. And a story is what allows you to make that a comprehensive argument. So telling a story about why your pricing is the way it is and then suggest some kind of a trade or an equal exchange. So our pricing is carefully calculated. It's based on the resources required to deliver excellent results. Or our pricing is actually calculated without a huge profit margin because we do want to pay and bring in the best people working under us. However, I understand that your budget concerns are real and your constraints might be real there. Now, if we reduce the scope to focus exclusively on Instagram rather than all platforms, we could bring the investment down to $2,500 from $5,000. Would that work better for you with your budget right now while still addressing your primary need? Or we don't typically do discounts just because it would reduce the resources we could give to you. We could offer a 10% reduction in this case if you're willing to sign up for 12 months instead of a 6-month package. Would that be something that would work for you? So those are a couple ways to deal with pricing objections, is never just give up on price, always negotiate, get something if you're giving them a pricing concession. Let's talk about think about it. This is one of the most challenging objections. It usually means one of three things. They're not convinced of the value, they have decision makers you haven't spoken to, or they're truly shopping around. So first thing is to understand which it is. Hey, I completely understand wanting to think about it, help you make the best decision. Can I just ask you, what specific aspects of this are you going to be thinking through? If they mention specific concerns, great. Now you've got a real objection you can smash. If they mention other decision makers, you can offer to schedule another call to go over it with them, or you can start preparing them to pitch to that decision maker. The one-page business case is a great resource for that. If they're comparing options, ask them what criteria they're using to make their decision. One powerful technique for closing is what I call future pacing, which is getting them to imagine working with you. So let's say we do decide to move forward together. What would success look like for you after 3 months of working together? This is, by the way, a great question to ask in all your sales calls, not just as an objection handling technique. This gets them starting to mentally picture and take ownership of the results they're looking to achieve with you. And it also gives you some very important roadmap and a blueprint for how to get them to their desired goals. So finally, ideally, it's not always possible in B2B sales, but you want to get a payment on the call. You want to get assigned a contract agreement on the call, close a deal. It's not always going to happen, but you want to shoot for it. So always have your payment processor ready to go, whether that's a Stripe link, an invoice, or a contract that can be signed, e-signed, send that over to them. The longer the gap is between agreement and payment, the more likely the deal is to just fall apart. So you don't want to add time to the deal. You want to shrink everything as much as possible. Another way to handle that would be, okay, no problem. Yeah, you can definitely pay tomorrow. Let's just go over our agreement together. It's very simple, 2 pages, nothing scary. And I want to make sure you understand all the terms and conditions before we sign up. And then I'll let you get on your way, and I'll send you the payment link as well. You can get that done tomorrow. If possible, if you can't get a payment on the first call, at least try to get a signature on your agreement on the first call. And if someone tells you they don't have authorization to sign the agreement, then you shouldn't have been talking to that person in the first place. That was a failure of discovery and a failure of disqualification. You should be talking to the decision maker who has the checkbook authority or who has the signing authority. They could also be uncertain about results. This is actually the number one reason that prospects will not tell you that they're moving forward, is because they're not convinced you can do the job. They lack confidence that you can deliver the results you say you can the newer you are in business. So for a lot of you new AI agency owners out there, this is going to be difficult for you until you have a lot of case studies and testimonials. 2 main ways you can battle this here. Number 1, overwhelm them with evidence. The more relevant case studies, testimonials, and proof points you offer them, the higher certainty they will have and the easier it will be for you to close deals. Number 2 is if you're newer starting out, you're going to have to offer more guarantees, reduce their downside risk. The more ironclad and risk-free a guarantee you can offer, the higher likelihood they will take the risk on you. At an extreme level, if you're a complete beginner, this may include 100% money-back guarantees, things like that. So, recap of handling objections. Contextualize the investment against their goals and at least promise get a 5 to a 10x ROI to allow them to logically make sense of the investment. 2, value stacking. Make sure you're letting them know everything they get and make sure it's at a significant discount to what they'd pay in the open market to get the same services, patching them together apart from having them from your agency. And then you can always structure payments over time, offer favorable payment terms as necessary. If we go into an economic recession or any kind of recession or downturn, depression, offering payment terms is going to help a lot. All right, let's recap negotiation strategies as well. Never give without getting. Don't offer concessions without getting something equally valuable in return. Trade discounts for longer commitments or reduce scope. For example, use the storytelling approach, which tells a story of why your prices are the way they are, why they have to stay there, and why if you reduce price, you also have to reduce services commensurately. Or if they want more services, you have to increase price or you have to increase something else you're getting back from them. It could be testimonials, it could be a video case study, it could be acting as a referenceable client for you from now until kingdom come. And then finally, uncover the real concerns, the value questions, the hidden decision makers, or comparison shopping. All right, recap on closing techniques, future pacing. Let's say we move forward today. What would success look like for you in 3 months? Make sure immediate momentum is ready to go. Have all your payment links, all your agreements ready to go. Do not let this small technical thing throw off your deals. And then clear future. Give them next steps, clarity, outline exactly what happens after they sign to reduce uncertainty. Final notes. Let's review the key points we've covered. The foundation. Adopt the doctor frame. Understand your prospect's real motivations and maintain tension throughout the sales conversation. Discovery mastery. Develop your pain points by digging deeper, finding problems behind the problems, and using a knife-twisting summary to create urgency. The 3 pillars pitch. Keep your solutions clear and high level. Don't get pulled down into the weeds, and paint a clear picture of the future. Objections handling and negotiation. Contextualize price against goals. Never give concessions without getting something in return. Be prepared to collect payment and get agreement signed while on the call. Most common mistakes to avoid. Don't do these things. Don't go into a consultant mode too early. Don't develop pain points deeply enough. People stay on superficial pain. They don't go deep. They go with paper cuts, not stab wounds. They get too technical on their pitch. I know you've learned a lot about the fancy AI and everything that's happening right now. Don't share that with the prospects until they've paid you. Offer discounts without getting anything in return, and not being prepared to close on the first call. Okay, if you're looking to implement what we've covered today, let's start with these steps. Number 1, create a structured discovery questionnaire that helps you uncover the deep pain points. Number 2, develop your 3 pillars pitch for your specific service offering. Number 3, practice your knife twisting summary technique. Number 4, prepare responses for common objections you hear. Number 5, set up a seamless payment process for closing deals on the call. And if you need more help with this, my agency helps AI agencies get better at sales. We have a community with live practice, role-playing, call teardowns, scripts, downloadable, fillable, PDFs, a lot more resources. You can access the link in the description. Remember, mastering sales is like mastering anything else. It just takes practice. Record your sales calls, review them, and continuously refine your approach. P.S. If you come into our community, we can help you with the practice. The agencies that grew past 10K a month, 15K a month, aren't necessarily the ones with the best services. They are the ones that can most effectively communicate the value of the services and create urgency that lead to outcomes, to decisions. I hope this has been really helpful to you guys. If you did like it, make sure you thumbs up the video, leave a comment down below. That really helps the algorithm and me personally spread this educational mission and help more people. If you want more strategy on growing your AI agency, subscribe to the channel, and then definitely comment below with the biggest takeaway or questions you have. I personally read and respond to all the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.